right, guys, so we're starting notes 9-2 today. It's more applications of systems. These are a little bit more difficult. They're still set up pretty much the same way, and then we have to solve them using our systems. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. It says a rectangular field is 12 feet longer than it is wide, and the perimeter is 76 feet. Find the width. So just like we did yesterday, we need to find out what the two things that we're talking about are. It looks like we're talking about length and width. So I'm going to say that L is going to equal my length, and that W is going to equal my width. You don't have to use L and W. If you want to use X and Y, that's fine. Whatever makes you feel better. So let's read that first sentence and see if we can get our two equations. The first part says a rectangular field is 12 feet longer than it is wide. So when I read that, it tells me that the length is the longer of the two. So I'm going to say L equals. Now I'm going to put W on the other side, but it is shorter. I have to do something to width to make it the same as the length. And if the length is 12 feet longer, then I have to add 12 to the width. So now I have my first equation. The second part of that sentence tells us that the perimeter is 76 feet. Well, if we're talking about a rectangle, I'm going to kind of draw one up here in the corner. We have two lengths and two widths. And to get our perimeter, we have to add all those together. So I'm going to say we have two W's, and we add to that the two L's. That equals the perimeter, which is 76 feet. So now we have our equation. Now, we're going to use substitution because if I look at that first equation, I know what L equals, so I can substitute that in for L in the other equation. So let's rewrite it. We still have our 2W plus 2, but instead of L, we're plugging in what L equals, W plus 12. Now, it's really important to put parentheses around that because we didn't have to distribute yesterday, but today we will to get our answer. And we finish that off with equals 76. Now we have all W's and we can solve for the width. So I still have 2W, but now I need to distribute my 2 over the parentheses, so I have 2 times W is 2W, and 2 times 12 is positive 24, and that equals 76. Now that we have that, we can combine like terms. I have 2W plus 2W, so I have 4W plus 24 equals 76. Move my 24 to the other side. The 24's cancel. I have 4W equals 52. And the last step would be divide both sides by 4. So now I have my width is equal to 52 divided by 4 is 13 feet. Now all it asked us for was the width, so we can stop there. But if we wanted to go further, we could plug that W back into either equation and find our length. But it didn't ask us for that this time. All right, so you can see it's a little bit more difficult than yesterday, but now that you've seen this rectangular problem, anytime you see one on the homework or in the future, you can refer back to this one. A lot of the equations will be set up the same. They just might have a few different numbers. So let's go ahead and look at number 2. Your grandmother gives you and your little brother 42 coins. Some are dimes and some are nickels, but they total to $3. Find how many nickels and how many dimes your little brother has. So this one's talking about two things. One is dimes and one is nickels. So I'm going to go ahead and say that D equals dimes and N equals nickels. But again, if you want to use X and Y, that's totally fine if that makes you feel better. So let's read this one. It says your grandmother gives you and your little brother 42 coins. So that means if I take my total dimes and total nickels and add them together, just the number of coins is 42. So that means that dimes plus nickels should equal 42. Now the other equation, it says some are dimes and some are nickels, but they total to $3. So if I add up the total amount of money she has in dimes and the total amount of money she has in nickels, it equals $3. Now a dime is 10 cents, and this is kind of a trick. So I'm going to have to take 10 cents and multiply that by the number of dimes I have. And I'm going to have to add to that 0.05, because the nickel's 5 cents, times the number of nickels I have. And if I add that together, I get the $3. And now we have our system. Now this isn't set up for substitution. It looks like it's set up for elimination. Now if you look at these, I have 0.10D plus 0.5N on the bottom and D and N on the top. So what I'm going to do is make the top D into negative 0.10. And to do that, I'm going to multiply the whole equation by negative 0.10. Now, since they're 1, it's not too bad. So I'm going to come over here to the side. Negative 0.10 times D is negative 0.10D. N times negative 0.1 is minus 0.10N. And that equals 42 times negative 0.1 is negative 4.20. Now, I know that's kind of complicated, but you do have a calculator if you need to use that. And it's just multiplying by 1. Now I just rewrite the bottom equation, 0.10D plus 0.05N equals 3. Now when I combine my equations, something's going to cancel. Negative 0.1D plus 0.1D cancels out. Negative 0.1N plus 0.05N, and you might want to use your calculator, is negative 0.05N. And negative 4.2 minus or plus 3 is negative 1.20. And that's a little bit of work, but now we're pretty much done. All we have to do is divide by negative 0.05. And I caution you to be careful when you put that in your calculator. It's going to be real tempting to put in 0.5. And when you do that, the negatives cancel. And you end up finding out that you have 24 nickels. So I'm going to write 24 nickels. So there's the first part of our problem. Now I need to take that 24 and plug it into one of my equations. I'm going to plug it into this one right here. So I have D plus 24 equals 42. I can subtract 24 from both sides. And I get D equals 18. So I have 18 dimes. Now this is another common type of problem. A lot of them are set up exactly the same. They're going to give you how many coins you have and how much money you have. You just have to be careful on your second equation if you multiply your D and N by the right numbers. If it was quarters, it'd be 0.25. All right, so there's number 2. Let's go ahead and go to number 3. The drama club is selling tickets to its play. The cost of an adult ticket is $4.50. The cost of a student's ticket is $2.50. The theater can hold 250 people, and they want to make $1,005. How many adult tickets must they sell? So guys, this is very much like the last one. It's just not talking about nickels and dimes. It's talking about tickets. So I'm going to say that A equals adult tickets. And that S equals student tickets. Sorry. Now I'm going to set this up a lot like the last one. In the last one, they told us we had a total amount of coins. Well, this one tells us they can hold 250 people. So I need to take my number of adult tickets, add to it the number of student tickets, and it can only hold 250 people, so equals 250. So just like the last one, I added them up to the total. Now the next part is just like the last one too. It's telling me the price of the tickets. $4.50 for an adult, $2.50 for a student. So I'm going to take 4.50 and multiply it by the number of adult tickets I sold, plus 2.50 times the number of student tickets I sold. And they want to make $1,050, so equals, $1,005. Now we have our two equations. Now this one's also set up for elimination. So what we can do is know that A and S on the bottom equation are 450 and 250. If I can make one of the A or S, one of those, but negative on the top, then I can eliminate. So I'm going to multiply the top one by negative 2.5. That way I can cancel out my S's and it leaves me with my adults, which is what I want. So if I will do the multiplication, I get negative 2.5A minus 2.5S equals 250 times negative 2.5 is negative 625. I didn't change the other equation, so I'm just going to rewrite it. I have 4.5a, I'm just going to leave off those zeros if that's okay, plus 2.5s equals 1005. Now my s's are going to cancel. One's negative, one's positive, and they're the same thing. Negative 2.5 plus 4.5 is 2.0a equals negative 625 plus 1005 is 380. Now all we have to do is divide by 2 on both sides, and you get the number of adult tickets we sold is 190. So I'm going to write adult tickets equals 190. And there's my answer. Now, we could have gone back and we could have eliminated the A's, but if we would have gotten the number of student tickets, we would have had to do another step by plugging it back in. So if you have the opportunity to eliminate the right variable so to save you work, go ahead and do that. So hopefully that one's, I mean, you can see it's very similar to number 3. That's going to be very similar to some of your homework, so look back at this one if you're having trouble with the equations. All right, let's go to the last one real quick. At Penny's Diner, 2 eggs with bacon cost $3.15. 1 egg with bacon costs $2.20. At these rates, how much would bacon cost alone? So we have our 2 subjects, it looks like, are eggs and bacon. So I'm going to say E is eggs and B is bacon. Now, if I read these and kind of say them out, it makes a lot of sense how to write the equation. 2 eggs with bacon. That's 2 eggs plus 1 slice of bacon, and it says that equals $3.15, so 3.15. The next part says 1 egg with bacon, so 1 egg plus 1 bacon equals $2.20. Now we just need to find out how much the bacon costs alone. So this is another one that's set up for elimination. It looks like I have 1B and 1B on both of those, but if I canceled out the B's, that's what I'm looking for. I want to know the cost of the bacon. So if I look at the E's, if I can make that bottom E negative 2E, it would cancel out. So I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by negative 2. I'm going to rewrite my equations. The top equation didn't change. 2E plus B equals 3.15. Now I just have to fix the bottom one. Negative 2 times E is negative 2E. Negative 2 times B is negative 2B. And negative 2 times 220 is negative $4.40. Now I can eliminate a variable. I can eliminate my E's. 2E minus 2E is 0. Plus B minus 2B gives me a negative 1B. And 315 minus 440 is negative 1.25. Now that's almost my answer except for B is negative. So I can divide or multiply everything by negative 1. And I get the cost of bacon equals $1.25. And there's my answer. So guys, they are a little more tricky than yesterday, but you're seeing the tricks in the notes. So when you get stuck on one on the homework, look back at your notes and use them. Okay, I think that's one of our big problems. Almost everything on your homework is based off of one of these. It just has different numbers and different subjects. So I hope that helps out, and good luck.